I'm here on the cemetery of the Belgrade liberators that fell towards the end of 1944 when both Yugoslav Partisan forces and Red Army troops launched the Belgrade Offensive. Belgrade was captured by Axis forces on the 13th of April 1941. But in October 1944 it was taken by the Partisans and the Red Army. How did this operation go is what you will learn in this video. Good to have you back on the channel. If you're new, my name is Stefan. I'm a Dutch history teacher and I like to cover history on location, like I'm right now on a Soviet partisan war cemetery in Belgrade, Serbia. If you find this on location content interesting, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, leave a like, and you can also support me via Patreon, PayPal or via a super thanks. You can all find the information below. On April 6th, the German Luftwaffe planes dropped 360 tons of bombs on the Yugoslavian capital Belgrade, leaving 50% of the downtown destroyed and thousands of civilians and military dead. The Germans captured the city on the 13th of April. The German-led Axis invasion of the country lasted till the 18th. The Kingdom of Yugoslavia was then carved up. Now, I won't go into all the details, but what you need to know for now is that Serbia came under direct German military control. German-occupied Serbia was officially known as the territory of the military commander in Serbia or the Serbian residual state. The collaborationist government was led by Milan Nedić and became known as the Government of National Salvation, also known as Nedić's government. From 1941 to 1944, the Belgrade population fell from 320,000 to 238,000. Wartime Belgrade had no similarity to the civilized pre-war city. Here is a scene that occurred on the streets. 5 communists were hanged from lampposts. A little to the left of them was an advert for the horse races, and under that, people from the town and refugees would drink beer. Now, Belgrade saw a large influx of refugees that were coming from the NDH, the independent state of Croatia, which had its border close by, just on the opposite side of the river. And the Usasha, the Croatian ultranationalists, they hunted down Serbs by the masses. So many Serbs fled or were expelled to German-controlled Serbia. Also, corpses of murdered Serbs floated down the Danube River and horrified the inhabitants of Belgrade. In April 1944, British and American bomber planes bombed the city, and it saw even more destruction than during the 1941 German bombing. Again, thousands of lives were lost. Problems with food supplies increased as the war progressed, and in February 1942, the bread ration in Belgrade was reduced from 400 to 265 grams, and in April to 200 grams per person. Despite heavy penalties, the black market became an important source of supplies. When Yugoslavia was partitioned and occupied, 2 resistance movements occurred. There were the Serbian nationalists that were led by Draža Mihailović. They were known as the Chetniks. And then there were the communist-oriented partisans that were led by Josip Broz Tito. Both started their operations in German-controlled Serbia, and they soon moved to other regions as well. In 1942, the bulk of the guerrilla warfare shifted to Bosnia and Herzegovina, but the partisan leadership never lost sight of Serbia as a critical region for the future political transformation of Yugoslavia. Returning to Serbia became an obsession for Tito, who correctly judged that only in Belgrade could the communists ensconce themselves as the successors to the monarchy. On the 23rd of August 1944, Romania switched sides. Bulgaria did so on the 8th of September. Risking to be trapped in the Balkans, the German Southeast Command ordered a general retreat, with their right flank secured by Soviet and Yugoslav partisans prepared to advance on Belgrade with 16 divisions and 20,000 battle-hardened troops from Zanjak, Montenegro and the Ibar Valley. Their ranks were swelled by large numbers of volunteers, and among these were thousands of former Chetniks who switched sides after the Yugoslav king in exile made an appeal to the Yugoslav people to join Tito instead of Mihailović. On the 3rd of October, the partisans took Bor, and by the 12th of October, all of eastern Serbia was taken, and the area between Kragujevac and Sava as well. On the 13th of October the Germans left Nedić, and the next day the Battle of Belgrade began. The Battle of Belgrade 1944 consisted of heavy artillery barrages and skirmishes in the streets. Belgrade was a well-defended point on the Germans' withdrawal route. Tito's NOV, National Liberation Army, on its own could not have freed it at that time without the Soviet contribution in tanks and heavy artillery. The Red Army took part in the campaign to free eastern and northern Serbia. The fighting in the streets of Belgrade was intense and urban in nature. Heavy street fighting took place, house-to-house battles occurred. The partisans faced heavy resistance from German forces. The German forces used a strategy of urban defense, fortified positions, snipers and barricades. But despite the German resistance, the partisans and Red Army troops made progress capturing the city. The Yugoslav Partisans played a very important role in the street fighting, while the Red Army provided them with artillery support and armor. Fitzroy McLean, head of the British military mission to Tito's headquarters, was in the city on the Belgrade fort and saw how the Germans retreated across the river. Across this, troops were pouring headlong, guns, vehicles, horses and infantry. Looking through our glasses, we saw that they were Germans, retreating in confusion to the suburb of Zemun across the river. Suddenly, as we watched, the stream of fugitives was broken, and for a few moments the bridge remained unoccupied. Then, more troops came pouring across. As we focused our glasses on them, we saw, to our amazement, that they were Russians. We could hardly believe our eyes. It seemed incredible that the German sappers should have failed to blow up the bridge as soon as their last troops were across. Now you may wonder, why did the Germans fail to blow up the bridge? Well, here is the story that I read. In the house near the bridge lived a very old man. He was a veteran of the Balkan War in 1912, where he fought against the Ottomans, and he had distinguished himself by removing the demolition charges of a bridge while the Ottomans were retreating. For this he was awarded with a gold medal by King Peter I. Now, 32 years later, he came into action once more. In the night of the 19th of October, he saw the Germans placing demolition charges, and when they had their guard down, he left his house and he spent 30 minutes disconnecting the charges underneath the bridge. And when a couple of hours later the Germans retreated across the bridge and wanted to blow it up, nothing happened, thanks to this very old Balkan War veteran. And for this he was awarded with another golden medal. Many explosives did go off, while retreating German units set off explosives in many buildings which collapsed or burned, killing people hiding in it. The partisans suffered 2,953 casualties and Soviet forces around 1,000 men. Tito's forces imposed a Soviet model of socialism on the city and later the country. Soon, collaborators and alleged collaborators, members of the pre-war elite, were executed by the partisans. The 1944-45 communist purges claimed the lives of many, and after Belgrade was captured, the partisans still had to go a long way. The very last battle actually occurred on the 25th of May, which was the Battle of Odzak. If you want to learn about other forgotten World War II battles, click here, and click here for my video about Bosnia during the Second World War. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.